Welcome to Around and Around, the OCD Circle. My name is Elizabeth, and I have been living with obsessive compulsive disorder for over 60 years. I am not a therapist or a member of the medical community. I am just an ordinary person like yourself who will be sharing my thoughts and experiences with you, with the hope that you will feel less alone. If you don't have OCD, I hope you will learn some information that will help you understand this disorder better. Some of the topics I will be covering may be triggering for you as a listener. If so, I apologize in advance. Since I don't know what your triggers are, please refer to the episode summary in the show notes before listening to each episode. If at any time you feel like hurting yourself or ending your life, please call the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline by dialing 988 if you are in the United States. It is open 24 hours a day, and you will be connected with the nearest crisis center to receive immediate counseling and local mental health referrals. Now, on to today's episode. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me on my podcast, Around and Around the OCD Circle. I am so glad you are here today, and I'm going to be talking about OCD and the fear of death. Not everyone who has obsessive compulsive disorder has a fear of death, and not everyone who has a fear of death has obsessive compulsive disorder. This is a very common fear among all people. One of the things that people fear is the fear of the unknown. Like, what's going to happen when you die? And then other people are afraid of the actual process of dying, whether or not they're going to suffer from a long illness or suffer a painful death. I'm going to talk about something right now that I don't believe I've mentioned in previous shows. When I was 7 years old, I had what was called a near-death experience, NDE for short. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. I was at the beach. My mother was on the shore laying on a blanket. I was in the water by myself, in knee-deep water, in an inner tube. Now this was back in 1969. When I say inner tube, these were not small, cheap inner tubes that you would buy at a drugstore. These were very, very large inner tubes that came from the tires of like 18-wheelers. They were very, very heavy. They smelled like strong smell of rubber. And I had my body in the middle like a donut, and my arms were over the sides of the tube. So I could touch the ground, the sand underneath the water if I wanted to, but I didn't like the feel of it because there were a lot of shells, probably some crabs or sea creatures down there. So I had my feet just kind of dangling up, and my mother thought I was perfectly safe. She could see me. I was not far away, and I hit an undertow. I don't know what you know about undertows, but what happens is it's like the drain of a sink or a bathtub. It pulls you under. The undertow pulled me out from under the inner tube and started taking me out farther towards the ocean. Now, I've since learned that if you do get in an undertow, the best thing to do is to look at the shore and swim either left or right, parallel with the shoreline. But I didn't know that at the age of 7. So naturally, I tried to swim towards the shore, towards my mother. I think I'd only had one summer of swimming lessons when I was like 4 years old, and I wasn't a very successful swimmer. And so all I remember was doing dog paddling. And when you try to swim towards the shore in an undertow, all it does is make things worse, and you get exhausted and tired, and that's what happened to me. I remember screaming towards shore for my mother, and I remember going under the water and back up, and under the water and back up, and then after a while, I just went under the water. I don't remember a bright light. I don't remember seeing God. I don't remember seeing relatives that had passed before. Of course, at that time, I was 7 years old and I hadn't had any relatives that I knew pass away. All I remember was it was very, very quiet. And I had what a lot of people call a life review. And the only way I can explain it is just in one split second, I saw everything I'd ever seen in my life go in front of my eyes. I smelled everything I'd ever smelled. I tasted anything I'd ever tasted in my young life. I heard anything I'd ever heard in my life. And I felt everything I ever felt in my life with my fingers, my hands, my skin. So the five senses, that's what I remember. And it was just really quick, right in front of me. I since have done a little bit of research on near-death experiences, and there are some scientists who explain this, that when a person is dying, the electrodes in their brain are shutting off, and as each one is shutting off, the person experiences whatever those electrodes, the data that they hold. I don't know if that's true. I don't know. But I don't remember being afraid. The only time I was ever afraid was when I was conscious. When I was conscious that I was in danger, when I could see my mother, when I was having trouble breathing, that's when I was afraid. But once that was gone, and I guess I was unconscious, I don't remember being afraid at all. Just to let you know, I'm still here. My mother swam out to me. I remember asking her if we were going to die. She said no, but she told me years later that she thought we were both going to drown. There was a man who did come out and assist us, but I don't remember any of that. So ever since that time, I never told anyone about my near-death experience, and ever since that time, I really haven't feared death that much. You know, what's going to happen afterwards. What I do know is that I don't ever want to drown. I am afraid of fire. I don't want to die in a fire. I am worried about the way I will die. I don't want to be in the hospital for a long time. I don't want to suffer from a really bad illness. I think all of us secretly wish that we could just all die in our sleep. But unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. So, but as far as the unknown, I don't really worry about it that much. People with OCD commonly experience intrusive thoughts, which can include violent or distressing imagery, including thoughts related to death. These intrusive thoughts can be highly distressing and provoke fears about death or harm to themselves or others. I know that for a long time I don't know if it's a premonition or what it is, but I see myself driving and running into the back of an 18-wheeler. I can see the T-bars in front of me, and I have this when I'm awake, I have it when I'm asleep. I don't know. I have this fear that that's how I'm going to die. I'm curious if you have fear of death, and if you do, is it the fear of dying itself, the way you will die, or what happens afterwards? Let's talk a little bit about the religious or moral obsessions. Some individuals with strong religious or moral beliefs have obsessions related to sin, punishment, or judgment in the afterlife, and this can lead to a fear of death. If you are a religious person, then you may think that after death, you're either going to go to heaven, or you're going to go to hell, or you're going to go to purgatory. All right? Some people are not religious, and they think this is all there is. The light switch is on, the light switch is off. And then there are other people who are more spiritual, but not as religious. They're more on the spiritual end, I would say, and they believe that when we die, they become energy. Their energy is mixed with the other energy. Some people believe in reincarnation, that their energy will go into another being. I've heard this with animals a lot. Someone has a dog, the dog passes away, they get another dog, and they swear that that dog has the energy or the spirit of the dog that they had before. And I read something on a message board from someone who was afraid of what was going to happen when they died. And one of the commenters was, "Do you remember before you were born?" And the person replied, "No, I don't remember anything before I was born." And then the commenter said, "Well, that's what happens when you die. You, it's nothing. You won't remember it." That kind of doesn't give me much solace, because when I die, I want to remember my life here on earth. I want to remember the people who I loved and spent time with. I don't want to forget about them. I don't want it to just be nothingness. Likewise, when I die, I want people to remember me. I know that I'm not going to be a famous person. I didn't invent a great invention that people will remember me for hundreds and hundreds of years. I'm not an actress. I'm not a singer. I haven't written a bestseller. After 100 years, no one is going to remember me at all. But I like to think that I am passing some positive personality traits to my grandchildren, with the hope that they will pass those traits on to their grandchildren. A lot of people now are interested in genealogy, and the internet is making it easier to trace people's genealogies. And my father's really into it. I have a daughter who's very interested in it, and I'm hope that one of her children will be interested in it, so that when they do research me, they will find some of the things that I did, and that my name at least will be remembered, maybe my birth date, and my descendants will remember my name and know a little bit about me. That's what I hope. I leave some type of legacy. This podcast is kind of a legacy for me. And I'm just adamant that I'm going to keep recording this podcast because I want something to leave to the world, something positive. If you are a religious person and you believe that you're going to either hell or heaven or purgatory, and you're worried about your life after this life, what I would suggest to you is that you live your life here in a way that you believe your God or your universe or your higher power would want you to live in order to get to your paradise, in order not to go the other way. If you're a person who believes that when you die, you become energy and you are mixed with other energy and come back reincarnated, or just you're just energy, right? I would suggest that you put out positive energy every day so that you are contributing positive energy into the universe. And if you're one of these people who believe that it's just the lights on and the lights off and there's absolutely nothing after you take your last breath, then I would say you don't have anything to worry about. And I know that's so easy for me to say because we have OCD, of course we're going to worry. But the way I do this is I try to live for today and tomorrow only. So I make plans for today, I make goals, and I also write down what I'm going to do tomorrow, what my goals are going to be. I try to look at the things in my life that I'm thankful for. I look for places that I can improve in my life. I try to put out positive energy and feelings to the world. And that's how I get through it, my fear of death. Because I'm not going to, when I got on that airplane in September, oh yeah, I was thinking about my death. I guarantee you I was. But that's how I get through it. I cannot worry about, I can't say I can't worry, I'm gonna worry. But I look through the worry. The worry is like a curtain waving in front of my face, and I look through it. And I would highly suggest that you find some things that make you happy in your life, whether it's gardening, whether it's volunteering, whether it's being around children or animals, something that will make you happy, give you something to look forward to every day, and making those goals. It's the only way we can manage our OCD. We cannot get rid of this fear. It's not going to go away. I mean, I hate to tell you this. I don't like to be a Debbie Downer. OCD is here to stay, and you have to look through it. You just have to look through it and get to the other side. I'd strongly suggest that if these suggestions have not worked for you, that you go see someone, you get some professional help, maybe start some cognitive behavioral therapy, possibly medication to help you manage your obsessions and compulsions. It will reduce your anxiety and improve your overall quality of life. And if you or someone you know is struggling with OCD, it is important to seek professional help from a mental health therapist or psychiatrist. It really is. I would like to leave you today with the reminder that you are not alone. Having this disorder sucks totally. I have a Facebook group page called Around and Around the OCD Circle. It's linked below in the show notes. I highly encourage you to join the group. Right now it's a small group because I just started it, but there are people there who you can talk to and just get your thoughts out there, and we will understand because we have the same disorder. We're not there to treat you. We're not there to, cure you, fix you, but we will listen. And sometimes that's all it takes is for someone to listen. Also, if you would like to be interviewed on a episode in the future on this podcast, please reach out to me. My contact information again is below, and you can be completely anonymous on air if you'd like to be. And the only requirement is that you have been treated and diagnosed with OCD for at least 2 years. Thank you again so much for joining me, and remember, you are not alone, and I hope you have a wonderful week. Bye now.